I'm 77 years old, and the most freeing thing I ever did came far too late. I spent most of my life worrying about what people thought of me, how I sounded, how I looked, whether I was doing enough, saying the right things, fitting into the shape others expected. I adjusted myself constantly, without even noticing. I chased approval at work, in friendships, even in my own family, and I called it being responsible. But at 77, something finally clicked. The opinions I feared never carried the weight I gave them. The voices I tried to please are mostly gone now, and the stress they caused stayed with me far longer than they ever did. I wish someone had told me at 20 what I know now. Caring less is not selfish. It is how you finally start living honestly. The change did not arrive with drama or applause. It came on an ordinary afternoon when I felt too tired to keep pretending. I was sitting alone, no meetings ahead, no one to impress, and I realized how quiet my thoughts had become. The voices that once pushed me to act a certain way were suddenly faint. I was not trying to prove anything. I was not explaining myself to anyone. Age had slowed my steps and softened my urgency, and with that slowing came space. In that space, I noticed how tense my body had been for years. My shoulders felt lighter, my jaw relaxed. I had spent so much energy managing how I was seen that I had little left for how I felt. Fear had followed me everywhere. Fear of judgment, fear of being wrong, fear of disappointing people whose approval I chased without question. That afternoon, I asked myself a simple question. Who was I still performing for? Many of the people whose opinions shaped my choices were no longer around. Some had passed on, others had drifted away. Their voices still lived in my head long after their presence was gone. I saw then how much of my life had been guided by imagined reactions instead of real needs. Silence replaced pressure, and it felt honest. Without the noise, I could hear my own thoughts clearly for the first time in decades. I did not feel empty. I felt calm. That calm showed me how much energy fear had taken from me over the years. It had shaped my choices quietly and constantly. In that moment, I understood that caring less was not giving up. It was finally letting myself rest from a lifetime of unnecessary worry and approval seeking that no longer served me or anyone else anymore. I began to remember how often I chose silence over honesty. There were meetings where I had ideas but stayed quiet because I feared sounding foolish. There were family moments when I felt hurt but smiled instead to keep peace. I remember friendships where I agreed when I did not, laughed when I felt uneasy, and walked away wishing I had spoken. At the time, these choices felt small and harmless. They felt like maturity, but they stacked up over the years and shaped the outline of my life. Each time I stayed quiet, I taught myself that my voice mattered less than comfort. I avoided risk and called it wisdom. I chose approval and called it kindness. I passed on chances that scared me, jobs that felt true, conversations that needed honesty. I watched others step forward while I stepped back, telling myself it was safer this way. Caring what people think does not feel like a cage at first. It feels like protection. You believe you are avoiding conflict and keeping order. What you are really doing is shrinking slowly. You do not wake up one day and notice it. You notice it later, when you see how narrow your path has become. Looking back, I see how many turns I never took because I feared judgment more than regret. I wonder who I might have been if I had trusted myself earlier. Silence cost me growth, connection, and confidence. The world did not demand I stay small. I did that myself, one quiet choice at a time. until staying quiet felt normal and speaking felt dangerous and heavy. I live now with that knowledge, hoping others will notice sooner and choose courage before habit hardens and years pass without warning or return to them all forever quietly. When I finally stopped caring what people thought, the change was quiet but steady. There was no big announcement. No one clapped. I simply began telling the truth in small ways. I said no without long excuses. I shared my thoughts even if they might not land well. I dressed, spoke, and moved through days with less tension. Fear no longer sat in every decision. In its place came calm. I slept better. I laughed more easily. I felt solid in my own skin for the first time in years. I stopped replaying conversations in my head and stopped guessing how others might judge me. That alone freed up more energy than I expected. Self-respect grew slowly as I honored my own voice. I noticed that honesty did not ruin my relationships. In many cases, it strengthened them. Some people pulled away, but those connections were already fragile. The ones that remained felt real. I no longer felt split between who I was and who I pretended to be. Life became simpler when I stopped performing. I accepted that not everyone would agree with me or like me, and that was fine. Their reactions no longer decided my worth. I regret learning this lesson so late, but clarity has its own peace. I now value alignment over approval. I choose actions that let me sleep well at night instead of ones that earn quick praise. The freedom I found did not come from success or age alone. It came from letting go of fear. I wish I had known earlier that confidence is not loud. It is quiet and steady. It grows when you stop asking permission to be yourself. Even now, I live lighter. I walk slower. I speak honestly. And I finally feel at home in my own life, knowing I am no longer shrinking to fit expectations that were never meant to hold me in the first place anymore. If you are still young enough to feel fear guide your choices, listen closely. Fear does not shout, it whispers. It tells you to wait, to fit in, to stay quiet a little longer. It feels polite and careful, but it steals time without asking. You think you are being smart, but you are slowly handing your life to other people's opinions. I did this for decades. I thought I was protecting myself. What I was really doing was delaying my own life. You do not need to become fearless to change. You only need to notice when fear is making your decisions for you. Start small. Speak one honest sentence you usually swallow. Make one choice that feels true instead of safe. Let someone be disappointed and survive it. You will. Most people are busy thinking about themselves anyway. The danger is not judgment. The danger is waking up later and realizing your days were shaped by fear you never questioned. Approval feels important when you are young because it promises safety. It does not deliver it. Peace comes from living in alignment with who you are, not who you are trying to impress. I am not telling you this to shame you. I am telling you because I know where the road leads. You still have time to choose differently. You still have years to live honestly and fully. The choice is simple but not easy. You can keep shrinking to stay comfortable, or you can start showing up as yourself and accept whatever comes. One path leads to quiet regret, the other leads to calm strength. No one else can make this choice for you, but I promise you this. The moment you stop living for approval is the moment your life finally becomes your own. Do not wait until you are my age to learn that lesson. Choose now, while time is still on your side and fear has not written your whole story yet for you. I once believed that if I pleased enough people, life would feel safe. I worked hard to meet expectations, followed rules that were never written, and shaped myself to fit whatever room I was in. Praise felt good for a moment, but it never stayed. As soon as one person approved, another expected more. Approval moved like a shadow, always just ahead of me. I learned that pleasing others did not protect me from judgment. It only delayed it. I was still criticized, still misunderstood, still replaced when I no longer fit the need. The people I tried hardest to satisfy often forgot my effort quickly. Yet the cost stayed with me. I carried stress, doubt, and the quiet fear of being exposed. Approval never gave me rest. It demanded constant work. I watched others live honestly and still face judgment, and I lived carefully and faced it anyway. That was the truth I avoided for years. You cannot earn peace by meeting shifting standards. You cannot secure love by disappearing into expectations. I look back now and see how much time I spent earning points that meant nothing in the end. No one returned those hours. No one repaid the silence or self-control. Regret did not come from disapproval. It came from realizing I had shaped my life around people who were not keeping score the way I was. Approval never paid me back with safety or meaning. It only taught me to keep running. Letting go of that chase did not make me careless. It made me honest. Peace came when I stopped trying to win and started living in a way that felt true and steady inside for once. I learned freedom grows when you choose yourself daily without apology or fear guiding your steps forward.